This is the latest edition of Front Up, and I'm Whitey Willauer, and I've got a great guest today, Grant Sanders. Grant, this is not your first visit on this show.
No. Actually, I've had numerous stints.
Yes.
On this floor and the floor above.
I see. You're working your way up or down.
This is the massive studios in downtown Boston of TV 17, where...
Yes, I know. We're brought live from Boston. So, Grant, tell me, what is Yak On?
It's an online discussion group. It's a place where anybody can go and voice their opinions and talk about the issues that we have to deal with on the island. You can post anonymously if you're willing to just talk about issues, but if you're going to mention somebody else by name, you have to sign your real name to the site. But other than that, the rules are pretty simple. You know, it's do unto others online as you would have others do unto you online.
Now, how do you know if somebody isn't coming in on a pseudonym?
Oh, well, I do know.
You do know.
Yeah. Well, it's because I screen everybody that wants posting privileges. They have to give me a working phone number, and they have to tell me who they are, and I have to check up on them. I have to do, my secret research on everybody that wants to post.
I see. Yeah. I see. And do you stay on top of all of these issues yourself, or you're working off island, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. I spent about close to a couple hundred days off island last year.
Really?
But this year, not as much. So it's pretty much 50-50. 1 or 2 trips off island every week. So yeah, I do stay up with it. I check it in the morning, first thing, and then on days when I'm working on Nantucket, I usually write something long in the mornings, and then post it, and then I check it at lunchtime, and then do some site maintenance and other things in the evening. But it's not as onerous as it used to be,
Why was it more onerous?
Well, because before I initiated this rule of posting and signing your name, there were a lot of people that would come on. A former colleague of yours, Doug Bennett. Do you remember Doug?
Yes.
Doug would come on Yak and post as anonymously, and he would say things like, "So-and-so's an idiot," and that kind of thing. So I had to ban Doug Bennett. It was the first time I ever had to ban a selectman from the website. But although I miss Doug so much.
He would add a little spice to life.
It was more than spice. It was a little sour too.
Well, he's running for city council up in Boston.
I know, and more power to him. I hope he does well.
Yeah, he's also got a baby, and he's growing up, and
yep.
Yeah,
we all have to grow up sometime.
That's right.
Not me, though.
Even though we resist it. Now, how does Yak pay for itself?
You know what? My costs are relatively low. The server. I run 2 websites on my server. One is Yak, and one is my caffeinated.com. Caffeinated is the name of my business. And Caffeinated has income.
Really?
Yak pretty much doesn't. So Yak On piggybacks on Caffeinated's server. So I pay for the server with my advertising business, and then I used to have ads on Yak, and
I remember that.
And I may someday later, but right now I just like to be able to offer this service to the community, and to be able to not have to say you can't say something because one of my advertisers might get mad.
You seem to be able to stay on top of things and have opinions and things like that. And I admire how you get your arms around all of these.
Yeah, well, it's a hobby, I call it governtainment. I really enjoy, I like going to selectmen's meetings and listening to what's going on, and I like downloading the packet. I don't know if a lot of people realize, but the packet that you get as a selectman is available to everybody online on the website 2 or 3 days before the meeting.
Yeah.
So you can go on there and see, who gets a contract for $80,000 and who's going to be before the board talking about wastewater and that kind of thing. So I love all those little bits and pieces of government. It's just it's fun to understand.
Speaking of bits and pieces of government, what kind of feelings do you have about the way the government is being run on the island today?
You know, any endeavor that involves human beings is not going to be run perfectly. So I happen to think that the government's run well, to tell you the truth. You know, I wasn't terribly happy, and I'm sure you weren't either, with the way the situation at the airport shook out, and we found out about how a lot of the procurement issues were really messed up, to use a polite term. And but generally speaking, given the downturn in the economy and the way Proposition 2.5 ties our hands, and given the way that you know, not today and not even in the last 5 years, but prior to 5 years ago, we had negotiated some contracts that weren't sustainable in today's economy. You know, there were some pay raises for certain union members were over 5%, and some were approaching 7 or 8%, which means basically everybody's pay doubles in 8 years. And that's something that it's impossible to sustain. And I think the administration has taken a hard line against that kind of thing, and has done a good job of sort of asking unions to renegotiate their contracts. But at the same time, now we're in a situation where well over 80% of our town's budget is in payroll and benefits. And unless a lot of people between the age of 40 and 65 retire next year, that's going to be a problem we're going to have to deal with for the next, who knows.
Yeah, I was amazed when I first came on board, the selectmen negotiated the contracts.
Right.
And I said, they do? And I immediately said, hey, maybe the town administration ought to, and now they're saddled with that whole difficult process.
Well, that's a good thing, and it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy.
No.
And like I said, I think that Libby Gibson and Greg Tivnan and the whole staff does a fantastic job. I can't fault them at all. I mean, there are some things that I would do differently, and there are some things that you know, need improvement. You know, we have one of the most expensive solid waste programs in the state, maybe in the country. We have
the best.
Oh, it is the best. It's absolutely the best.
92%.
If you want to have that level of recycling in a community like Nantucket, then you have to pay for it, and that's just a fact. We subsidize our island home a great deal. We have special needs kids that often need to go to schools off island that cost, you know, $50,000, $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 a year. And these are things that we have to pay for because we are a unique community. And I think that, you know, the fact that the town has been able to balance the budget without an operating override. I can't remember when the last operating override was.
It was a long time ago.
Right, and the fact that they've been able to do that is just, it's great because, you know, on Yak, we have this argument about whether our property taxes are low or not. Okay? And it's a very circular argument because one can say, well, our property taxes are low compared to Wellesley or Newton. But at the same time, in Wellesley or Newton, the average income is about $250,000. The average income on Nantucket is somewhere between $80,000 and $90,000 a year.
Of the year-round population.
Of year-round population, yeah. Right. And then we can talk about how, you know, even though our taxes are low, there are a lot of other ancillary fees and taxes that we have to pay as businesses and as, you know, people that use wastewater and people that use fresh water and all these other services that tend to have a price tag attached to them. And it hasn't gotten any easier to be here year-round for a lot of people. But it has its benefits.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that amazes me is our credit rating is so high. It went up a notch, and now we're one notch before the U.S. government, but one notch below Austria and I think Switzerland. Everybody else in the world is below us. So we must be doing something right.
Well, and that's another good thing. If we need to borrow money for something like new offices on Water Street, mm-hmm. then we have the ability to do that and borrow at a rate. You know, money's relatively cheap right now. I wish my credit rating was as good as the town's.
Well, that'd be hard to do.
$6 million.
Yeah. So that's good news here. And I also feel that the town is on the forefront of doing a lot of creative things.
Right.
I mean, such as the land bank, such as the conservation, such as the cleaning up the waterfront, even our fisheries. We're leading the world in some of these things, which people don't they take it for granted, but they don't realize what went into that and how creative we've been over the past.
Absolutely true. Well, and Nantucket's unique. How many towns have their own airport and their own retirement community and their own harbor? You know, Nantucket's unique. We do a lot of stuff.
The South Water Street redo of the police station, which used to be the fire station, which incidentally my grandfather designed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. He also did Academy Hill School.
Too bad we can't hire him to do the inside now.
He found he's
old rates.
He's fallen off his perch. But anyway, what do you think about what the town's doing or thinking of doing at the South Water Street?
Well, I think it makes a huge amount of sense. You know, and we've had discussions on Yak about this, and a lot of people think we shouldn't spend the money. But at the same time, this entire block, you know, bordered by South Water and Broad Street and Federal, is entirely owned by the town. And there's a huge amount of open space between all those buildings that people don't realize. You know, it would be possible to renovate that property in a way that utilizes the space better. And I think that keeping town employees in town is a laudable effort. Keeping town employees who can go get a cup of coffee or buy a bowl of soup, or you know, get their mail at the post office, keep downtown vibrant year round. It's a laudable thing. So, and I know and that's another thing we've had a discussion about, this idea of taking away town meetings vote to allow town employees to leave, to be relocated outside the island. Some people feel as though, since most year-rounders live in the Mid-Island, that the town government should be in the Mid-Island. And some people feel as though if we're going to have a vibrant downtown, we ought to do everything we could to maintain the number of town employees downtown. And I know parking is an issue. I absolutely think we need to deal with the parking issue in some way, but a vibrant downtown is a good thing.
Well, I know when I worked in Washington, D.C., my company had shuttle buses. So rather than drive, you just got on a shuttle bus and went around. But that's been thought of here. But there are ways around these problems.
Right.
Now, what about 37 Washington Street? What do you think about that?
Oh, tell you the truth, I haven't really looked at the way that is going to be renovated. I think one could make an argument that 37 Washington Street is within the core district, so it should go to town meeting for a vote. At the same time, I do believe that it makes sense to have all of the permitting agencies under one roof, because if you are an architect or a plumber or a builder and you need to get a bunch of permits, it doesn't make sense to go back and forth, you know, out to DPW to get your permit signed, and then back here and down to Washington Street and then to the town building. It does make sense to have everybody under one roof. So, and you know, I know not everybody's happy with the way the new restructuring has happened,
but it's sort of working itself out. But yeah, for instance, you got the Concom is down near Jetty's Beach now, which is unfortunate. But I imagine that'll all work itself out as we go along.
Well, let's hope so.
I hope so. Yeah.
Like I said, you know, the government is not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but it is.
So one final thing: have you got any major thing that you'd recommend for the town?
Well, yeah, lots of things. Well, I think the town should make an effort to encourage businesses that go beyond the traditional Nantucket businesses. You know, I think that if the town were to make an investment in high-speed internet pipeline, something that is, you know, utilizes the fiber optics in the two electric cables we have, that would be something that could bring businesses to the island and help people who, you know, the building trades have seen a downturn in the last decade. Maybe it would help some of those people retrain to do things in the information industry, in the information technology, or the, you know, use the internet to make money.
I know a lot of my friends are telecommuting. They live on the island at least through the shoulder seasons and are able to carry out their business wherever on the island, which I think is a step forward.
Yeah, and it's very helpful. I was Skyping with Michael Kopko, and he was in London the other day.
How's he doing over there? Has he got any?
Well, just to let your viewers know, Michael Kopko, who is a selectman now, and who will not be at this week's meeting, by the way,
yes,
is co-artistic director of White Heron Theater Company, and I'm involved with White Heron Theater Company as well, in a marketing capacity, not as an actor. Thank goodness.
You're not that glib.
Well, no, certainly not. But White Heron Theater Company is a theater company that's relatively new. Their goal is to incubate productions on Nantucket in January when there isn't a lot of theater, and then take those productions to venues all around the country and around the world. They're looking to take the recent production of Canada, which was here 3 weeks ago. They're looking to take that to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, or some people call it the Festival Fringe. And they're out there now shopping this production around to various venues in Scotland, and they are having extremely positive reviews from the various venues. That a lot of people want them to put their production on out there. Yeah. So it's exciting
stuff.
stuff.
Next Frankenstein.
Right. But he and I and the other artistic director, Lynn Bolton, we were Skyping the other day. Yeah. And I don't know if you are familiar with Skype, but it's what do you?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Dick Tracy's video phone, you know.
Yes.
But it's
you're dating yourself.
It's great, yeah. I always wanted one of those.
Yeah, I never thought it would happen.
Yeah, well,
it is.
You wait around long enough, stuff happens.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you very much, Grant. It's been a pleasure having you on board our little show.
My pleasure too. And next time we have to come back and do an entire segment on parking garages.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you in favor or are you against them?
Well, I'm sponsoring this article at town meeting on asking that town meeting get a vote on parking garages.
Are you for them or against them?
I am not for or against. I'm for having a vote.
I see.
Yeah.
On something that hasn't been designed yet.
Well, it has been designed.
Yeah, I see.
There's a plan.
I see.
It's on the town website.
Okay, well, we will bring you back.
Let's do it, because I'm really ready for that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a promise. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Whitey.